Hello, welcome all. Can you hear me? Okay. So welcome to the lecture number 11 on the mobile application development. So basically this will be a last lecture for chapter number 4. That's basically called as the input controls, input event and the dialogues. We have seen the various type of input controls and their event handling. Otherwise, we have also started with something called as the dialogues. So we saw how to create the various types of dialogues. Okay. So today we are going to see the remaining and the last part for the chapter number 4. Uh, and once we complete the today's lecture, we are going to end up with the first 4 chapters for the mobile application development. So let's start with the today's lecture. So in the last lecture, we saw how we can create the dialogues. Okay. So basically we saw we can create the dialogues by using a specific class, and that class was called as the alert dialog. That class was called as the alert dialog. So by using the alert dialog, we can create our own dialogues, and with the help of alert dialogs, we can display the various kinds of alert messages to the user. Okay. Again, if we the idea about the alert dialogues were having some kind of fixed components. Okay, so alert dialogues were having some kind of fixed components. It means we said the alert dialog has the icon, the alert dialog will have some kind of title. At the same time, the alert dialog will have some body, and alert dialog will have 3 buttons. The first button is called as the negative button. The second button is called as the positive button, and the third button is called as the neutral button. So this was the basic structure of the alert dialog. Now, what if we want to create our own dialog? So we said alert dialog has some specific components which are displayed by default by the Android. Now, the thing is, what if we want to create the dialog, okay, which is having a structure entirely different than the alert dialog. Okay, so for that, such kind of dialog is not predefined in the Android. Okay, so in this case, you have to create your own dialog, and that's basically called as the custom dialog. That's basically called as the custom dialog. So let's try to see how we can create the custom dialog uh, when we have our own design in mind. Okay. So for example, in this case, we have to create a custom dialog with a very different design. Okay. So let me draw it first. So I'll connect my writing pad. And let me draw it first. Okay, so in this case, suppose the alert dialog that we want to display is basically like this. Okay, by default, let me take a pencil tool. Okay, so this is the structure for the dialog that we want to have. So basically, our dialog will look like a square. Then it will have only 2 buttons. Okay, first is called as yes, and second is called as no. Okay, now we know for the alert dialog we have only the icon and the title. Now in this case, we want to have the image inside the body. We want to have the image inside the body, and here we want to have some text. Here we want to have some big text. Okay, so we want to generate uh, the dialog which will have our own custom design. Now at the same time, we want to have some custom color in the background. So at the same time, we want to have our own custom color in the background, custom color for the buttons, and the custom color for the text, which was not available for the alert dialog. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. Okay, let's see how we can do that. So for this, okay, we need to create the layout first. So always remember, whenever you are actually trying to create your own design, always remember you must create your design inside the layout.xml. So let me erase and we'll come back to our Android Studio ID. And since we said that we want to create our own design, we have to define it inside the layout.xml. We have to define it inside the layout.xml. So let's see how we can do that. So we'll go into the layout.xml and we'll click on new and we'll choose the layout resource file. We'll choose the layout resource file. Now basically here you can choose the layout resource file that you want to have. So let's say uh, or we will simply add a simple design here. So just click on new and we'll choose the XML and we'll choose the XML layout file and I'll call it as a custom dialog. So all the letters should be small. So I'll say custom dialog. Okay. And the layout, whatever the layout we want to have, you can choose this particular root tag. Okay. So I want to have the relative layout as a root tag. So I'll say it here, the layout root tag will be the relative layout. Okay. Of course, you can change it afterwards, but here I'm going to choose it here only. And then you can click on finish. Now, as you can see, it will generate a layout resource file. Okay. Layout resource file inside a layout directory. Now, here you can see the design and we'll choose where we can see both the design as well as the code. Okay, I'll choose a code here and here I'll be choosing the layout validation. I'll be choosing the layout validation. Now let's see how to write this particular code. So as we said, we need to have a text here. So and one image. So I'll choose one image view. It's taking a time. Okay, so image view. Okay, its width will be suppose 200 dp and height will be again 200. Okay. Then I had to choose an image. So I'll choose the SRC. The image will be available inside the drawable. So I'll go into the drawable and go to the launch foreground. Uh, so this is the image I have chosen. If you want to add your custom, so let's try to add the custom image because or to light be displayed on the dialog box. So let's try to add our own image or let's try to add our own drawable resources. So we'll click on the drawable and then click on new. And here we are going to add a vector set. So we'll click on add the vector set. Okay. Now in this case, you can choose any image. So let me choose a different clip art here. So I choose this and click on OK. So I'll be keeping the color as black only and click on next. Okay, and click on the corresponding image inside the drawable directory and I can load the image from this file. Okay, so what I can say is I'll choose this particular image, that's IC underscore baseline underscore 4K underscore 24. This is the image I want. Now in front of that, I need to write some of the text. Okay, so I'll use a text view to write the text. So text view, width will be equal to match parent, and height will be again equal to the match parent. So it will occupy the entire width that is left free after adding the icon. Okay, now let me add some text. So I can say text is equal to some sample text. Okay, so as you can see, this is by default added at the top. So this is what happens in the relative, unless and until you set the relative position of it. So we know in a relative layout we give the ID to each and every uh, component. So here we can call it as @ plus ID img, and we'll put this particular text towards the right of the img. Okay, so I can say to right of @ plus ID img. Okay, and we'll add the margin from the bottom, margin from the top, sorry, as suppose 40 dp. Okay, so this text will be taken in alignment with the image. So let me increase the margin, let's make it as 60 dp. Okay, then increase the size of the text. So I can say text size as 50 dp. Okay, so text will be somewhat larger. Okay, so this will be our text. Now remember what we are actually doing. We are actually deciding the layout of our dialog box. Yeah, are you able to hear me? Yeah, are you able to hear me? Hello? Okay, okay. So it's saying the connection is unstable from my side. That's why I asked, just to wants to confirm. Okay, so that's what we are doing. So we are just designing the background or designing the design for our dialog. Okay, so this is what our image view, and this is our text. Now as we said, below that we have to take two buttons. Okay, so let me add the button 1. Now before that we have to give the ID for this particular text also. So I can say ID is equal to @ plus ID. Okay, some text, so I'll call it as TXT only. Okay, now let me take one button. Button whose width is equal to let's say match parent. So I need to take two buttons, or we'll take one button only, and height is equal to content. Okay, and for this button we'll have a text. For this button we'll have a text as, let's say, ID is equal to no need to take ID. Now this time we'll be taking a text just. So just text is, so let's call it as click here. Okay, so we can call it as click here. Now this is the button which is displayed by default in the top left. We need to take it downward. So I can say below. Okay, @ plus ID. I will take it below the image. Okay, so the button will be taken below the image. Uh, should take layout below this.
Below IMG, sir.
Yeah, please mute yourself. Okay, so the people who are not muted themselves, please mute yourself. Okay, so layout below. Yeah, so why it is showing the error? Let me check it. So what was the, yeah, so the ID was img, not image. Img. Now as soon as you give the ID as img, it's not coming in the download of the img. Yeah, so as you can see, what happened? IMG. Yeah, the button is not coming below the, yeah. So now you see the button is available below the IMG. Now we have to add for this particular button. So let's add some padding of 40 dp, and let's change the size. Let's change the color of the button. So let's say background is equal to hash 000, and we'll try to change the color for this button from the palette. So we'll choose this color, and we'll choose the text color as hash FFF. Now same thing we'll do for the background of the dialog box. So I can say it here. The background will be hash 000. It will make the entire background color as black, and from this we can choose the color from palette. We'll choose purple color for the background, and we'll choose the text color as white. So I can say uh, sorry, the text color should be written inside the text view. So text color as FFF. The text color will be chosen as white. Okay. Now due to the less amount of RAM, it is showing in this way. Now here you can see. So this is the background of the button that we have set. The background of the what we can say, the dialog we have set. Now this background has to be displayed. This background has to be displayed for our dialog box. Okay, this background has to be displayed for our dialog box. Now how to do that? Okay, so let's go into the activity main.xml. Okay, now what we can see here is it says the hello world. Okay, it has a by default text view which says the hello world. Now what we'll try to do here, we'll try to modify the text view with the button. Okay, and so that instead of text view the button will be displayed, and we'll just try to run the app. Okay, now we know the initial app build will take some time, so we'll wait till the app is built. We have to wait till the Gradle build is finished. So gradual build is finished. Now it will try to install the app. Only first run will take the longer amount of time. So as you can see, the app is executed. Now what we want is when we'll click on this hello world, I want the dialog to be displayed with the custom contents that we have created. So then only this will be called as the custom dialog. So what we'll write here is on the click. Okay, we'll generate on click event. So I can say on click and we'll call a method. We'll call our own custom method. So let's the method will be test. Okay, now the method has to be generated in our Java file. So we know we'll just click on this bulb and we'll click the create this particular method inside the main activity.java. Okay, the dialog with our custom content. So the method is very simple. So we just have to create the object of class dialog. So we can say dialog d is equal to new dialog. Okay. Now this dialog constructor is there. We'll take some parameters. If I want to identify which are the parameters it's taking, you can just hold the alt or control. Okay, and then it will show you the possible syntaxes for creating the constructor. So what we did is we'll just hold either the alt and press and click on that, so it will show us the possible ways to call the constructor. So we'll choose the first constructor. The reason behind this is the simplest form of the constructor that we have. Now as you can see, it takes the context. Now what we said, whenever the argument is of type context, it basically takes the reference to the activity on which the corresponding component is displayed. Okay, it means if I'm creating a dialog and passing the reference of the activity to the constructor, then the dialog will be displayed on that particular activity. So I can say dialog d is equal to dialog main activity dot this. Okay, then what we can say is d dot. Okay, now you have to search for the method which will add the our custom layout to this particular dialog box. Okay, now here you can see there is a method called as set content view. There is a method called as the set content view. Now the set content view method takes the layout resource id. Okay, so I'll call d.setContentView, and how to identify the layout, r dot layout dot. Okay, so remember one thing, if you want to refer the resources, then what you can do, r dot. Okay, then id dot. Okay, if you want to refer the drawable, you have to write r dot drawable dot. Okay, since I want to refer the layout file, I'll write r dot layout dot and the layout that we have created with the name custom dialog. Okay, so as you can see, when we create a custom dialog file, the corresponding layout id is generated, and that id has the value something like 1 3 then 4 times 0 and 4. Okay, so this is what happens when you create every component or when you create resource inside your Android project. So whenever you create every resource inside your Android project, the corresponding ID will be created inside the R class, and it will be given some random integer value with which you can refer that particular resource. Okay, so you can say that d dot set content view r dot layout custom dialog, and then you can call d. Then you can call d dot show. So d dot show means it will show that particular dialog box. So I'll apply the changes on the app and we'll try to rerun this particular app. So when the changes will be applied, this app will be terminated and relaunched. So as you can see, it is applying the changes, and once it will apply the change, your app will be relaunched. Okay, so we need to restart the app. So it's saying you have done the major changes, so you need to restart the app. You stop this app, and we have to restart it again since we have performed the major changes. So let's try to restart the app. Yeah, so as you can see, it's installing the app and the app is launched. Now, once we click on the hello button, you can see the corresponding dialog is displayed. You can see the corresponding dialog is displayed. So basically what you can do is you can set your custom content in this particular way so that your dialog will be displayed in this case. Okay, so basic thing is you can create your custom dialogues in this particular way. So you have to create the custom dialog box in this way. So you have to create your custom layout file where you are going to define the layout that you want to add. Then what you can do is you can create the object of class dialog. Okay, and in that particular thing you can call the method set content view and set the corresponding layout as the content view for the given dialog box. Okay, then it will display the corresponding contents of the layout to your dialog box. That's it. So this is the easiest thing that you can use for creating your custom dialogs. Okay, so please ask if any doubt in this, otherwise we'll proceed to the further point. If any doubt in this, please ask, otherwise we'll proceed to the further point. So creating the custom dialog is very easy. You can add your own custom layout in the layout XML, and you can set that layout XML to the content view of the dialog box. Yeah, please ask if any doubt, otherwise we'll proceed to the next point. I think no doubts are there. So if there are no doubts, proceed to the next point. Let me load the PPTs. The next point is one of the most interesting and the important point as well. And this is basically called as the async task. This is basically called as the async task. Now, as given in the description, the async task stands for the asynchronous tasks. Okay, so as given in the description, the async task stands for the asynchronous tasks. Now, what do you mean by asynchronous task? So these particular things or this particular task allows you to run the instruction in the background, and they should be running in the asynchronous way. Now, what do you mean by asynchronous way? They will not affect your main UI, or you can say they will not affect your main UI thread. Okay, so suppose if you have a really long operation that has to be performed, okay, and if you are running that particular longer operation in your main thread or on your main UI thread, then the problem is, suppose this particular task is running for 30 seconds, then your main thread will be stopped for 30 seconds, and the user will get the impression of that is being stuck for the 30 seconds. Okay, or the user will think that your app is getting hanged for 30 seconds. Okay, now in order to create a better user experience, what is suggested that whatever the long-term operations are there, that should not be run on your main thread or on your UI thread, but whatever the long tasks are there or the tasks which are performing the operation for a longer time, they should be executed in the background. Okay, and the term async task allows you to run your longer running operations in the background. Okay, without creating any extra load on your main thread. Okay, now what is async task programmatically? Now conceptually we know async task is something which runs in the background without causing a load on the main thread. Okay, so programmatically async task is a class. Okay, programmatically async task is a class which has the various methods. Okay, which has the various methods. Now which are the methods it has three important methods. The first important method is something called as pre-execute. The second important method is called as do in background, and the third important method is called as the post execute. Okay, as you can see on the presentation, we have written only two methods, do in background and the post execute. Okay, but there is one more additional method also there, that's called as the pre execute. Okay, now what do you mean by that? Okay, as their name suggests, since the operation is long executing operations, we can do certain things before the operation start. We can do certain things while the operation is running, and we can do certain things if the operation is completed. Okay, now the things which has to be performed before executing some operation has to be written under the method pre-execute. The operation that you want to perform while executing some certain task, we have to write this particular thing inside do in background, and the operation we are supposed to perform after completion of a particular task, we can write it inside the post execute. We can write it inside the post execute method. Okay, now basically as you can see in the description, async task class is used to do in the background operations. Okay, then it can update the UI, that's the user interface. Okay, so mainly we used it for the short operation that will not affect our main thread. Okay, at the same time you can do the longer running operation by showing some kind of activity on your UI. Okay, because it is not going to hamper the efficiency of your main thread. Okay, so let's see how we can understand the async task. So as you can see, this is the flow for the async task. Now, as we said, the async task will have the three important methods. Here we have these three important methods. The first method that we have here is called as the on pre-execute, then the do in background, and then on post execute. So before starting the task, it executes the pre-execute. While executing the task, it will execute do in background. Okay, and on post execute is called after completion of the operation. Okay, now the thing is, whenever it is calling do in background, whenever it is calling the method do in background, it will periodically call a method on progress update. Okay, on progress update. So what do we mean by that? Suppose if we have a certain operation which takes a longer time. Okay, so let me enable the annotations so you can draw something on your PPTs. So as I already said, if I have some longer operations, suppose longer operation consists of 10 steps, and these 10 steps are divided into the smaller steps in this way. 8, 9, and 10. Okay. Now what we can do is we can divide these particular steps into part of two. Okay. So first two steps will be some part of the task. Second two steps will be some part of the task. Then third two steps will be some part of the task. The fourth two steps and the last two steps. Okay. So we can divide our entire task into the smaller steps. Okay, and each completion of step or completion of each step will be considered as one progress update. Completion of each sub step is considered as one progress update. Okay, so this is what happens. So whenever you decide the number of steps or number of sub steps in order to perform the given operation, then completion of each sub step is considered as the progress update, is considered as progress update. Now this is generally required to show the progress bar, to show the progress. Okay, the most common example is, suppose you are downloading some movie from this from some site, or suppose if you are downloading some song from some site. Okay, then what happens, while downloading this particular song, it shows you the progress bar. Now, how the progress bar automatically updates as your file gets downloaded via the browser. Okay, the reason behind that is, for downloading that file, what they are actually running in the background is the async task. As the file goes on downloading, they are they are repeatedly running, or they are running periodically, the particular method that's called as the on progress update, which will denote the progress of the file that has been downloaded. And whatever the progress out of the entire progress is there, that will be displayed on your progress bar as the amount of file that has been downloaded, as the amount of file that has been downloaded. Okay, so this is the simple working of the async task. It has the three methods: on pre-execute, do in background, and on post-execute. Out of this, whatever the operation or the long-term operation you are supposed to perform, that should be done inside the do in background method. Okay, so this is basically used to call the third-party APIs. Now, if you want to show some progress of the entire operation, you can specifically consult to the method that is basically called as on progress update. Now remember, this is entirely optional. Okay, if you want to show the progress, then you can consult to the on progress update. Otherwise, you can simply skip it. Okay, otherwise the three important operations are on pre-execute, do in background, and on post-execute. Okay, so let's see how we can do this. So let me minimize this. Okay, and what we'll have here is, we'll add one async task. We'll right click on the app and click on new. Okay, and here we'll choose for a Java class. So we'll go here and we'll search for the Java class. Let me click it again. Right click on the app, new, and we'll search for the Java class. Can we be able to see the Java class where it is present? Or we'll click on Java file itself. That's our package, and here we add a Java class. So new. Yeah, so here we have a Java class. Now we'll call it as my task. Of course, you can give any favorite name. We'll simply call it as a my task. So as you can see, the my task class is created. Now the first important thing is, when you create your Java class, in order to create the async task, it should extend a built-in task. It should extend a built-in that's called as the async task. That's called as the async task. Now, as you can see, the async task, if you press a control space here, you can see the async task is basically a generic class. And if you click on the control, so just let me click on the control and just click on it. Okay, so I'll accept this agreement, and here the async task is basically an abstract class. Okay, so if you click on the control and click on the cursor, you can see the async task is basically an abstract class. So abstract class means it's an incomplete class. So that's why whenever we are extending my task for the async task, we'll be getting this error. Okay, now what this error says, just go here and read the description. Now this error says either make my task as abstract or implement the methods. Okay, so we want to implement the methods, so we'll click on implement methods, and as you can see, it will implement a method, and that method is called as do in background. That method is called as do in the background. Okay, now basically it has two more methods. Okay, so we'll write these methods also. So the first method is called as on pre-execute. The method is called as on pre-execute. So let me write it here. Pre-execute. Okay, and the another method that we have is on post-execute. Okay, so this is what the async task is. You have to just write or override the three methods. If you just want to perform the operation in the background, if you don't want to do any task before calling the operation or after operation is complete, don't write anything inside the pre-execute and post-execute. If you want to do some task before calling the operation and after the operation is complete, you can obviously write some code here. Okay, so for this what we'll do is we'll create one progress dialog. So we can say uh, progress dialog PD. Okay, and we can say the progress dialog in this way. So let's say PD is equal to new progress dialog, and it will require the context. Okay, so I'll call it as get application context. Now since it requires the context, okay, I'll be considering one constructor. So I can say my task. Okay, and it takes one context as a parameter, ctx. Okay, and let's import this package. Okay, and we'll write context ctx, and we'll do this dot ctx is equal to ctx. Okay, now the problem here is we cannot directly refer the context here because this is a simple Java class. This is not the application. So whatever the context is there, we are just going to take this context as a parameter of the constructor. Okay, now we can write here is ctx, and let's see what we can do is pd dot. Okay, and let me see whatever any additional thing is available here or not. So I'll not set the icon here. I'll just simply set the title. So title is equal to loading, and then what we can do is in the do in background we can create a simple thread. So I can call it as for int I is equal to 0, I is less than 5, I plus plus. We'll just try to call thread.sleep of 1000 milliseconds. Okay, and for this try we'll write a catch. Okay, so here we have created the progress dialog. So I'll say pd dot show, and here we'll call it as pd dot dismiss. Pd dot dismiss. So what we did here, we just created a progress dialog. We in a doing, I'll just make this particular progress dialog to be sleep for 1 second, and for 5 iterations, so it will sleep entirely for 5 seconds. And on the post execute, I dismiss the PD or the progress dialog. Okay, so this is how we have created the async task. Now we just have to call the async task when we click on the button. So whatever the previous code is there, I'll simply delete this code, and now I need to create the async object. Now the async task that we have created with the name my task, so I can say my task t is equal to new my task. Now remember, we created the constructor of my task which takes the argument of type context. So that's why we need to pass the context here. So I can say main activity dot this will be passed as the context to the constructor, and then we can execute it by calling t dot execute. That's it. That's it. Now once you call the my task object, once you call the async task object dot execute, it will call your async task. Now let's try to run the code and see what happens. As you can see, it has applied the changes. Then just compile it. Now here you can see it's showing loading. Now how much time it will show? Can anybody tell me how much time it will show the loading? Just I need your input in the chat box. For how much time it will show the dialog box? 5 times. Okay, so the dialog box will be shown for 5 seconds. The reason behind this is very simple. Okay, we have created a thread dot sleep of 1 second, and for how many iterations? For the 5 iterations. So it will show the dialog box, progress dialog box for 5 seconds. So what it will do, before executing this task, it will create the progress dialog box with the text loading or with the title loading, and it will generate that progress dialog box, or it will show that progress dialog box. In the do in background, it will do some task in the background. It will do some task in the background, and it will display the progress dialog till the task is complete. Now, once this particular time for the iteration is over, I can say the do in background callback is complete, and the next method callback it will do is on post execute. Okay, and on post execute, what we have written, we have written the code which will dismiss the progress dialog. Okay, that's why it shows the progress dialog for 5 seconds, and then it will get dismissed. So this is what we can do for the progress dialog. Okay, for the progress dialog and the async task. Now remember how many dialog boxes we have studied in this particular lecture from the last lecture is, first is the alert dialog, which is used to display some of the messages. Then we studied the custom dialogs, where we can use our own design, okay, in order to create the dialog box. Third, we have seen the progress dialog. Okay, third, we have seen the progress dialog, which is used to display the progress of any operation. Okay, along with that, we have studied one additional thing, and that's basically called as the async task. Now, what is the async task? Async task is basically an abstract class. Async task is basically an abstract class which is used to perform some longer operations or some long term operations which can be executed in the background. So always remember, whenever the async task is running, it will not cause any kind of overhead on your main thread or any kind of overhead on your UI thread. Now suppose if I write this particular entire code inside the main thread, what will happen? Okay, just I need your answer in the chat box. So whatever this thread.sleep for 5 seconds is there, if I write this entire code on a main thread, what will happen in this case? Yeah, anyone? If I write this code entirely inside the main activity dot Java, what will happen in this case? Yeah, I need your answer in the chat box. Yeah, so your activity will stop working for the 5 seconds, or we can say your activity will become irresponsive, or your activity will not respond for 5 seconds. Your activity will not respond for 5 seconds, and user will get a feel of the activity is hanged for the 5 seconds. Okay, so this is what you have to do. Okay, so let me give you the example, a very good example. Okay, so in okay, so let me tell you a very good story. So in the ancient times, or in a very earlier times, when the lift was introduced, okay, the lift speed was very slow. The lift were very slow. Okay. Now the thing is, the building made at that time were also the tall, but also the lift was very slow. Okay, now due to the slowness of lift, the user which is sitting inside the lift, or user which is standing inside the lift, was getting bored. Okay, and he was getting the impression as the lift is really very slow. Okay, now anyone knows that what they did to just what they did to make the lift faster? Did they increase the speed of the motor? No. So the technology at that time was not that much improved to improve the speed of the motor. So they did one simple solution. They just fit the mirrors inside the lift. Okay, so what happened by putting the mirrors inside the lift? The user is not getting the impression that lift is really slow. The user was busy with the mirrors till the lift will go, or till the lift will reach at that particular floor. So the user is not getting the impression of lift is really slow. Now the same concept they are applying in the programming. If you are really performing the longer operation, if you are performing the longer operation, then rather than doing that longer operation on a main thread, let the operation should be performed on some other background thread, and user will see some kind of progress or some kind of activity on your main screen. So user will not get impression that your activity is hanged. Okay, so Kiran Patil is saying something. So what he says is, suppose we upload the image in the background task, we don't know how much time is taken to upload the image. Then what we do? Okay, actually there is no need to consider the time taken by the image. So Kiran, just try to understand. Here we are not interested in how much time should be taken. Okay, we say that pre-execute is, Kiran, just try to understand. Pre-execute is executed or called before doing the operation. So we can say that before starting upload of the image, if you want to do something, we'll be writing inside a pre-execute. Okay, then if we are uploading the image, whatever the code is there, that should be written inside what? Do in background. Okay, now how much time it will take to upload the image? Okay, that we cannot understand also, or that we are not interested also. The thing is, how much time will be taken to upload the image, that will depend upon, first, the size of the image, second, the quality of the internet connection, or the quality of the network connection, or the speed of the network that you have at that particular point. So it's impossible to identify how much time it will take to upload that image. Okay, what I am trying to say is, do in background will be performed till the operation is complete. Okay, so I can say that do in background will be executing till the image is uploaded, okay, and then once the image upload is complete, it will automatically call the method that's called as the post execute. Okay, not interested in how much time is taken to upload that particular image. Okay, so it's not possible to actually take how much time will be taken to upload the image. Okay, and we are not interested also. Just the thing is, do in background is the method which will get called and getting called continuously till your operation is complete. Okay, so this is what we want to say. Okay, so that's it for today's lecture. Don't leave, I have some important announcement for you. Okay, one thing is, since we did not able to complete the practicals in the last slot due to the bad network connectivity, uh, today in the upcoming Saturday, we are going to complete that particular assignments. And the most important thing is we need to plan your PBL session also. We need to plan your PBL session also. Okay. So I think on a Saturday, I'll give you the detailed idea about your PBL session. At the same time, I'll give you the idea about your practical sessions. Okay. Till then, if you have any doubts, or till then, if you have any suggestions for me, you can put your suggestions inside the WhatsApp chat, or you can personally call me to give certain suggestion or to ask some doubts. Okay. So don't hesitate to ask your doubts or give me some suggestions. Okay, so your suggestions and doubts are always welcome. So if you have any doubts, please feel free to contact me on WhatsApp chat or just try to call me directly. Okay, we'll be definitely finding out some of the solutions for your problems. Okay, so what I told you on the upcoming Saturday, I'll be giving you the schedule for the PBL session as well as the schedule for your practical session. So that's it for today's lecture. I think we should stop here. If you have any doubts, I said already, you can contact me on the WhatsApp or you can personally call me. Okay. So that's it for today's session. Thank you, and we'll stop here.